Week 3 of the 2021-22 NBA season is in the books, which means it's time for the Western Conference objective power rankings for Week 3.
The voice of the fan. Drop a bounce pass, throw down the rim rocker. Lay up off the glass, right past the shot blocker. I follow through like Kobe's is money. You can cash it. For news on LA hoops, come over to Beach Basket. Up to date sports, post game reports, debates and play-by-play coming straight off the court. The voice of the fan making noise, causing havoc. Zone a man up, you can ask Beach Basket. The Beach Basket, coming soon on air. The Beach Basket, where the news begins. We're dropping news like we're in the stands. Creative views from the avid fans.
Now, I did this earlier, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But the reason we do these objective power rankings is because power rankings are kind of cool, but they also kind of suck. And the reason they kind of suck is because it's really a distinction between being objective and subjective, right? Someone's opinion over just facts. An objective is something that's tangible, where subjective is something that's intangible. It shouldn't matter if your team lost necessarily by 50 points. What matters is who they lost to and where they were when they lost or won. That's the objectivity piece that a lot of power rankings don't do. Power rankings are great because we want to know where our team stands, but I wanted to pull out that that subjectivity and make it just about who did they play, what was the outcome, and that's it. Facts over opinion. This is kind of how it works. Again, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because we did that in another show. Suffice to say, you've got different category of teams. You beat a championship team on their home turf, you get points. You lose to a bad team at home, you lose points. Well, you don't really lose points, you just don't get any. The two things I'm going to call out is the 19, that's the most points you can get. We call those quality wins. The 0, that's the least amount of points you can get. We call those bad losses. You get a 0 if you lose to a bad team on your home court. You get a quality win if you beat a championship team on their home court. Nice and easy. So with that out of the way, let's get into the power rankings for week 3. And I got to say, week 3 was interesting. The algorithm had some challenges. The formula had some challenges. This kind of tends to happen early in the season, and it normally gets righted as the season progresses. You'll see what I mean. We're starting off with something I don't think anybody would have an issue with. Unfortunately, the Pelicans are at 1-9. They are at 15. They did not have a good week. They did not have really a good season. And of course, there's some unfortunate news coming out of New Orleans regarding Zion. We don't know, how that's going to end up. But right now, things aren't looking too good, unfortunately, in New Orleans. Like the Pelicans, the team coming in at number 14, the Minnesota Timberwolves, didn't have a great week. They were also winless at 0-3. But I think things look a little brighter for the T-Wolves, minus the whole free cat issue, which I also hope gets resolved. Moving on, number 13. This is where people are going to be a little upset, I think. The Lakers didn't have a horrible week. They were 2-2, but they lost points. They dropped to number 13 from number 11 last week. And the reason is because of how they lost. They had a bad loss, one of the only two in the association in the Western Conference this week. And they just, the losses were bad losses. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. The Lakers are 5-5. If you look at their standing, they're in good shape, but they really haven't played quality teams yet. They haven't been able to accumulate those big points. They're playing good to bad teams, and unfortunately, they're losing to some of them. So they're not getting opportunities to score a lot of points in the power rankings, and they are losing points, or at least, again, not getting any with the bad losses to bad teams, which is why the Lakers come in at number 13. Number 12, the Houston Rockets. The Rockets are young, they're exciting, they're rebuilding. They just can't win yet. They had a 0-4 week this week. They come in at 1-7 and hold down the number 12 spot. The Thunder, the team that beat the Lakers, we talked about them earlier. They actually, on the strength of that Laker victory, which was a quality win because they beat them in Los Angeles, moved up from number 14 to number 11. And they, like the Rockets, are young, they're exciting, and also not winning, but I don't know, things kind of look a little bit better for the Thunder moving forward than they do for the Rockets. We'll see how that plays out. Coming in at number 10, the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs had a 1-2 week. Not good, not bad. Kind of where the Spurs have been living now for the last few seasons. I don't think they'll ever be bad. Even rebuilding, they're a solid team that can beat you if you don't watch out. Number 9, the LA Clippers. The Clippers moved up. They were 3-0 in week 3. They also won their last game, so now they're on a 4-game winning streak. They won yesterday. So they certainly seem to be trending in the right direction. Portland, the Blazers. I thought the Sixers would have so much internal turmoil that they wouldn't be particularly good to start the season. 76ers are doing fine, and the Portland Trail Blazers are doing okay. But this is where it's interesting. Look at their record overall, 5-5. That matches the Lakers. The difference is the Portland Trail Blazers are playing better teams. They're not losing to bad teams, so they've had an opportunity to move up, although they did drop week to week from 5 to 8. The Nuggets come in at number 7. They dropped from number 2. The Nuggets had a 1-2 week, so not great for them. But again, this is a very good team. Had a little bit of a scare with Jokic, but he appears to be okay. The Phoenix Suns, the defending Western Conference champions. Now, this team had a lot of drama, not before the season. Unfortunately, during the season, it happened in week 3. The ESPN report regarding horrific news around Mr. Sarver. I don't know how else to word it. I don't know how, really what to say about it. These are the power rankings, so we're not going to get into it at all. But I know that's a tough situation to be in, I imagine, for the Phoenix Suns. But right now, they're trending in the right direction as well as the Clippers. Well, we mentioned that earlier. They had a 3-0 week, and they moved up from 10 to 6. Now you're starting to get into some teams that probably, I don't want to say don't belong here, because clearly they belong. These are the objective power rankings. You can't argue with them. But I don't think anybody expected the Timberwolves to be here at number 5, at 5-4. They had a 2-1 week. They're playing good basketball. They've got a very exciting player in Ja Morant, and moving in the right direction. And if number 5 doesn't surprise you, number 4 might. Sacramento Kings, another team that nobody really expected to be this high this early. It tends to happen every season. There are a couple of teams that just move up a little bit higher and unfortunately can't sustain it. If I had to pick between Memphis and Sacramento, I think Sacramento might not have the legs to stay up here for long. Memphis might. But the Kings right now are enjoying a very fun run. They had a 2-2 week. Their season so far is 5-4. They did drop from number 3 to number 4, but they are still in the upper echelon. The Dallas Mavericks. I owe all of Maverick Nation an apology. In an earlier show, I called them floundering. And I'm not even sure why I did that. They're not floundering. They are at 6-3. They had a 3-1 week. They're playing phenomenal basketball. Luka Doncic continues to do Luka things. He single-handedly sent the Celtics home not too long ago. So the Mavericks come in at number 3. Big jump up from number 8. The Golden State Warriors, a team, again, that I didn't think was going to be this good. Jordan Poole is amazing. Certainly an early candidate, an early favorite for most improved player. Of course, they've got Steph Curry doing MVP things, and they've got Klay Thompson in the wings. This team is going to be scary. They were at number 1 last week. They dropped to number 2 this week on the heels of a 2-0 week. They just didn't have the opportunities, having only played 2 games in week 3, to get the points to keep them up at the number 1 spot. But that does mean there's a new number 1. If you know the West, you already know who's coming next. The Utah Jazz. Talk about flying under the radar. The Jazz are 7-2 overall. They had a 3-1 week. They're playing good basketball. They had a quality win in week 3, beating the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee. They are the week 3 Western Conference objective power ranking champions. It means absolutely nothing, but if you're a Jazz fan, it's kind of cool to see. Those are our standings for week 3. You can't argue with them. It's math. We'll see you again for week 4.
The voice of the fan. Drop a bounce pass, throw down the rim rocker. Lay up off the glass, right past the shot blocker. I follow through like Kobe's is money. You can cash it. For news on LA Hoops, come over to Beach Basket. Up-to-date sports, post-game reports, debates and play-by-play coming straight off the court. The voice of the fan making noise, causing havoc. Zone a man up, you can ask Peach Basket. The Peach Basket, coming tune on there. The Peach Basket, where the news begins. We're dropping news like we're in the stands. Creative views from the average fans. The